Good morning. Kalimera. Late the afternoon, I'm not sure. Almost, I'm told. I would like to welcome our visitors today. We have many visitors today because it's our 12th annual Goya Lenten retreat. So we have lots of Goyans and advisors from around the Tampa Bay area, and I welcome them here with us. Also, welcome back Harry and Faye Samatiadis. Harry is a dear friend from many years ago in Asheville, and Faye is from here. So welcome back with your children. And if you are new to the area and are planning on sticking around here, our greeters today are Calliope Chigueras, who is, right over there, and Helen Cawthorn, who's right up here, and our ambassador is Donna Hambos, who I also did see. I'm not seeing now. And please fill out one of the white connection cards in the pews in front of you and hand it to either Helen or Calliope so that we can get you connected to our community. We would love to have you be a part of our parish family. This week there are 3 divine services. We will have Great Compline tomorrow at 5:30. There is pre-sanctified liturgy on Wednesday at 6 o'clock with a dinner sponsored by the Philoptochos. Every week at pre-sanctified liturgy there's a free dinner afterwards, so save the hour that you're cooking, come to liturgy and pray and receive communion. And then this Friday we're doing something that we only do once a year here, which is a vigil service. A vigil service means a combination of more than one service. And this vigil is the Akathist hymn, which will start at 6:30, and it will be followed by the Divine Liturgy at 8:15, and the whole thing will conclude around 9:30. But if you'd like a 3-hour break from the stress of your life and to come worship in the church at night, it's dark and peaceful, and not a zoo like it'll be during Holy Week, please come on Friday and experience this beautiful and peaceful service, the Akathist hymn and the Divine Liturgy. I believe, Lord, help my unbelief, is probably one of the most honest and heartfelt statements in the Bible, made by a man whose son was very sick, who had been very sick for a long time, who had been praying and hoping that his son was going to get better, and at every turn he was thwarted in that effort. He knew about Jesus, and he went and visited Jesus' disciples, and he said, "This is my son. He has an evil spirit. I'm tired of him suffering. Can you ease his suffering?" A well-intentioned request from a well-intentioned father, properly placed with the disciples of Jesus, and unanswered. And now this man must have been totally exasperated. And he went to Jesus and said, "This is my son who has a spirit in him that makes him have convulsions and other kinds of terrible things." And he asked Jesus, "Please have pity on us and have pity on my son." Jesus looked at him and he said, "All things are possible for him who believes." He didn't ask him, "Do you want me to heal your son?" He didn't ask him, "Do you have faith?" He said, "All things are possible for him who believes." And then the man said, "I believe, Lord. Help my unbelief." How many times in our life we go to God with some kind of a problem? And we ask the Lord, "Help me, pity me, actually. Give me relief from this problem I'm having." And many times the prayer is answered. And many times the prayer is not answered. Or not answered immediately. Or not answered in the way we were thinking it was going to be answered. That's true for everybody. This statement, "I believe, help my unbelief," is true for everybody in the church. There's nobody here who doesn't believe something, or you wouldn't be sitting here on a Sunday morning when there are hundreds of other options out there. So the "I believe" part is true for everyone here. And to help my unbelief part is probably true for everyone too at some point. And why is that? Because we get down by some life circumstances. And we have doubts, even in good circumstances. We have doubts. Are we doing the right thing? Is there a God? Is he listening to me? So this story, when I was younger, and it would come up every year in the gospel readings, and I would think to myself, ho-hum, just another healing story from the Lord. It's actually not ho-hum at all, because the father of the story is all of us. I believe, but I need God's reassurance when, in the moment when my faith is tested, when I'm scratching my head and wondering. Now the disciples came to Jesus after the boy was healed, and they said, Lord, why could we not help this man? Why couldn't we cast out the demon? And Jesus said, this kind can only come out through prayer and fasting. Our faith is sustained through these two things, prayer and fasting. Prayer, because prayer connects us to God. And fasting, because it gives us a discipline. It gives us a discipline. And also, if you're fasting from meat all of Lent, it sort of detoxifies your body. Many people I know aren't eating sweets during Lent. They're not drinking sodas during Lent. And the more you stay away from these things, the more your mind gets rewired that you don't need these things. So prayer and fasting bring us closer to God, and they purify our bodies. Prayer purifies the soul, fasting purifies the body. We had a wonderful retreat this weekend. We had about 65 teenagers from all the area parishes. Yesterday there were several priests who were here, hearing confessions from our young teens. We prayed a Vesper service last night. We offered a memorial service for a young lady named Julia from Sarasota who died a couple weeks ago. She was 13 years old. She was a beautiful singer. She sang at a talent show last year, beautiful operatic voice. Lots of talent there, probably lots of head scratching, why this happened to her. Many times we're scratching our heads, but God is all-knowing, and God has a plan for everything. Even this, perhaps, is part of God's plan, but we just don't see the bigger picture. Only God sees that bigger picture. We have this girl that didn't even touch the majority of life, and this morning we say a memorial for two people who lived for their whole life together and reached a ripe old age, as we pray in the wedding service. And maybe the way that God took your parents is painful to you, but it's part of his plan for them and for you. I try to teach you as best I can what I know. I try to lead by example. I don't always do a great job of that. But one of the things I encourage people to do is go for confession. And if you're interested in that sacrament, I hope that you'll call the office tomorrow, because we only have 2 weeks left and many time slots filling quickly. But I realized over the last week, because I received a beautiful letter from one of you who went to confession that I'm going to share, because she asked me to share that. I didn't bring it with me today, but I'm going to share it with you another time. And it gave me a new perspective on confession from the perspective of the person who went to confession. And that is that confession is not just a listing of your sins or a recovery from guilt or even just getting direction, but confession is actually a form of encouragement. Come and receive encouragement that God still loves you. God still loves me, even when I'm doing bad things. God still loves us. So if you're looking for yet another reason to come for some encouragement. God still loves you, no matter what you've done. Last night, one of the activities we did involved making a puzzle. We divided up all the teens into different groups and gave them each a scene, one of the Holy Week scenes, and asked them to draw that scene on a poster board. And then flip the poster board over and cut it up into 40 or 50 pieces, and then give it to one of the other groups who would try to put together their puzzle. And the puzzles are actually, they're really nice. They're on the stage in the hall. You want to see what our kids did. A lot of art skills there. But many times I think of the spiritual life like a puzzle. When you pour out a puzzle, you open up the puzzle and you pour out 300 pieces on your table, and you wonder, are all the pieces here? How will they fit together? And what will this look like when I'm done? And of course, you know all the pieces are there, and you know that if you spend enough time, you're going to start putting pieces of the puzzle together, maybe the edge pieces, the corners, certain colors, and eventually it'll start to take shape, and eventually you'll finish it. And the journey of our faith is kind of like the puzzle. When you're young, and even in your older age, we learn and we get new pieces to the puzzle. And then through our time in prayer, our time in worship, the encouragement of our friends, we start to put the puzzle pieces together. And hopefully as we are entering middle age, we start seeing the picture emerging of who we're supposed to be and where we're going. So that as the years of our life go by and we enter into our senior years, we are just putting the last few pieces in, and then the puzzle is complete and ready to be presented to the Lord. I believe, help my unbelief, is a statement, I have all the pieces. I'm just trying to put them together. I haven't quite figured it out yet. Come and receive more pieces of the puzzle every week in the liturgy, every day when you pray and read the Bible, in this upcoming Holy Week experience. And if you are one of those that says, help my unbelief, I'm still scratching my head, that's all right. That's a good, honest statement. Just keep collecting pieces and keep putting them together, and eventually the puzzle is going to emerge. Presbytera and I and Nicholas put a puzzle together. Mostly Presbytera did it because I lost patience. But it was a puzzle of minions. You know the Minions movie? They all look the same. They're all yellow blobs. So 550 pieces, which all look basically the same. It was very frustrating. It's just puzzle everywhere. There's no reds and greens and blues and blacks. It's all, just yellow. Big puzzle. And all the pieces look the same, and we put it on a table, and it didn't fit on the table, so we had like cookie trays with puzzle pieces. It was very frustrating. So I feel your pain. As I threw up my hands and I said, honey, knock yourself out. I have no patience for this. But if your Christian life is looking like the Minions puzzle, all the pieces are there, just keep putting them in there. Get a better partner than me. I'll be more patient. I have patience in the church. I guess I don't have enough patience with the puzzles. That's my unbelief. And finally, last night we watched a movie called Heaven is for Real. And heaven is for real. Heaven is for real. That was a nice, heartwarming story about a boy who was sick and dying, and he saw God. Just another story. We have movies, we have books of saints, we have lots of people that have testified that heaven is for real. So stay with the program. Believe. Keep putting the puzzle together. Ask Him to help in those moments of unbelief. And I'm going to close by sharing something personal that I shared with our children last night. And everybody says, high school and junior high is like, one big drama, like reality TV show. And when I shared with them when I went to high school, I remember at my high school orientation, they said, this is going to be the best 4 years of your life. And I can say unequivocally they were the worst 4 years of my life. In fact, when people graduated from high school, and I looked at the people that were crying when they were graduating, and I said, these are the people who know that they're at the top of the heap and there's nowhere to go but down. And I was laughing when I graduated. I said, oh, thank God, I'm at the bottom. There's nowhere to go but up. And I didn't have a great high school experience. I went to church all the time. I had straight A's, but I didn't feel good about myself. I had very low self-esteem back then. And I would pray, God, can I just feel better about myself? Can I just have a better life? Can I just have a better experience? And God never answered that prayer. And I wondered, I'm faithful going to church. I'm faithful about my studies. I don't give my parents any hard time. And my mom's watching this today. And Hopefully she's not screaming at the computer. And I said, God, why can I not have a break? And God answered that prayer 10 years after I got out of high school. And he said, you're going to direct summer camp. After I said to myself when I graduated from high school, I never want to see another teenager. God said, go live with the teenagers. So God allowed that awful high school experience to happen, because if he didn't, I'm sure I would not be involved in summer camp today. He let that happen so that I could learn empathy and patience. And empathy means getting in the sufferings of somebody else. So he let that happen so that I can get into sufferings with the teenagers, because I can say I suffered through that as well. So see, God answers the prayer in his way and in his time. And many times we're saying, why is my prayer not answered? In his way, in his time. Thank you for coming today and saying, I believe. And I'm praying that the Lord will give each of us strength in those moments this week when we say, help my unbelief. Thank you to my young friends for coming again. Thank you to their advisors. Thank you to our advisors. May God bless and keep you. Those who are not going to see, have a Kalianasasi and come back again in June for the Olympics. And those who are from the community, I hope I'll see you this week and next week. God bless you.